Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to League Racing TV for round 10 of Season 2 of TTML Division 3. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Carmentis. I'll be taking you through proceedings on a Thursday night as usual, and joining me in the commentary box for the first time in 2021 is TTG Conti. Conti, how are you this evening?
Yeah, doing really well, really well. To be honest, I needed a little break of Formula One. We had the break, and I'm all replenished, full of energy, and looking forward to tonight's race. So yeah, doing really good. And how about yourself?
Yeah, doing really good myself, actually. Yeah, it's been well, I mean, not in the real world, but in my world at least, it's been a good start to 2021. So fingers crossed it goes on like that. And like you said, I think I needed a bit of a break over Christmas because, my word, some of the TTML races that I've been commentating on over the past few months have been utter insanity. And I think you'll agree as well that Division 3 this season has been amazing from start to finish, hasn't it? I think every single race has been an absolute cracker.
Yeah, it is, and it definitely shows in the standings. I mean, top three is still really, really close. Some really good races, so let's hope we pick up. I mean, in the real world, it was kind of a weird year with COVID-19 and all. But for TTML, it was actually a great year, and as you said, Division 3, great races, spectacle everywhere, good overtaking, good racing, great to watch.
It really has been in there. And speaking of the championship, we'll just run you through the order coming into the penultimate round of the season at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico. So it's B. Morgan then back in the lead of the championship, having taken his first win in a long time really at Japan last time out. Jan, only with a 5th place finish in the end, drops to 2nd place in the standings, but is only 2 points behind. And then a further 1 point back to Isotopic. I know, an absolutely massive gap, isn't that? Just the 1 point between 2nd and 3rd in the standings. Isotopic won Suzuka on track, but lost it on a speeding penalty in the pit lane. Him and B. Morgan were a class above the rest of the field really last time out. Steph with another podium, finished in 3rd place last time out, up to 4th in the standings now on 133 points, so he's 30 points back off a 3rd. You'd have to say at this point in the season it is a 3-way fight for the championship unless something crazy happens in these next 2 rounds. Simply Superman is 5th on 125 points. The 2 Williams drivers of Old School and Kiki on exactly the same points, currently joint in 6th on 103. Lighty holds 8th at the moment on 95 ahead of Langfell in 9th place, and Hero Jokin rounds off the top 10. So it's been I think that the top 10 in standings has been up and down throughout the season. We've seen people coming and going from inside the points, going up and dropping back down the point standings again, but the three consistent drivers this season really have been B. Morgan, Jan and Isotopic, haven't they?
Yeah, and not a great start, but last couple of races, Steph is doing great as well. But yeah, as you said, it's been really, really close, and just last two races ago or something, the top 3 started to form. So yeah, great stuff. But yeah, I think you said it before we went on stream. Don't count Steph out yet.
Yeah, we can't count him out, absolutely. He has really shone in the second half of the season. The start of the season didn't get off to the best of starts for him. Baku had a good qualifying, but the race fell apart, and then from then on, he has been probably one of the stars of the season. He's coming off the back of a 3-race run of podiums now, is Steph. A win, a 2nd, and a 3rd place, so he's looking to continue that streak. But one thing to note here is, obviously, we're coming to the penultimate round of the season. We've had a 3-week gap in between 2 races. How do you think that's going to affect the drivers?
Yeah, some drivers more than others. I mean, you've got drivers like myself. I haven't touched the game for 3 weeks. Just started playing this Monday again. So yeah, and it's going to affect you massively. You just have to get back up to speed again. And you've got guys who just can't stay away from this game for a day. And they've been practicing like hell, probably a lot for Mexico as well. So there will be updates.
Yeah, definitely. I know people in my personal life that have been on this game probably as soon as they woke up on Christmas Day. So some people are really enthusiastic about this game, and I think we'll be able to find out tonight who those drivers are, because this circuit, it's incredibly difficult to get into a rhythm around this track, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But actually, you don't hear me say this quite often, but I actually really like this track. I mean, you've got everything. You've got a long straight at the start-finish. You've got some 90-degree corners. You've got in the second sector, end of the second sector, the maggots and maggot light corners, some chicanes. So, yeah, I think it's a great track.
I actually agree with you on this one. I think this track is quite fun to watch and race around. It has got a lot of different things. We're on board then with Nolan. He's going to be the first person to set a lap. He's in the Alfa Romeo. He heads up to the first chicane, then into turn 1 and then 2 and 3. Remember, it's very, very easy at the circuit to invalidate your lap, so that's going to be one thing to look out for. Nolan keeps it on the track nicely, but doesn't use too much of the curve, making sure that he keeps it nice and clean. Down to the end of the first sector. Now it gets a little bit more technical. We head into another slow chicane, and then a double apex hairpin. Very easy to outbrake yourself into this hairpin and run too wide. It tightens up on exit. Nice and neat though again from Nolan coming out of the corner. Now down to the S section through turn 7 and then into the flat out turn 8 and 9 and then into turn 10 and 11. It's very easy to be slightly offline and compromise your run. Nolan proves it there as he runs off the track and invalidates his lap time. That is going to be very, very common tonight. He's continuing on down towards the stadium section. The final part of the lap. It's quite a short circuit, this one, in terms of time and distance into the hairpin there. Obviously, on the old circuit, used to run around the outside of the stadium. This side, we go all the way through it and now into the final 2 corners, the penultimate corner and then the last corner, and Nolan's going to dive into the pit lane. The next person on a lap behind him is Isotopic, currently running in 3rd in the standings, only 3 points off the championship lead. He'll be the first person to set a valid time in qualifying here in Mexico, and it's a 13.6, puts him on provisional pole position. A 13.6, actually a pretty decent banker lap time. You would expect pole here to be down in the low 13s, possibly a high 12 if someone absolutely nails their lap. One of the Red Bulls is coming around the final corner now to start their run, to finish their run, sorry. I think that might have been Sean just crossing the line, or it might have been Kelvin, one of the 2 Red Bulls, either way, just coming across the line to start their final run. No one as of yet has set a valid time. We're just on board with Charlie. He's on the mediums and he's diving into the pit lane, so he's not going to set a lap time in this session either. And at the moment, I believe it's only Isotopic that set a valid time.
Yeah, and that just shows how easily you can invalidate your lap around this track, especially in the first 2 sectors. Really difficult track, as Kiki's coming in with a 13.8 now, and Harry with a 15.1. So yeah, good banker lap times, but I think there's more to come.
Definitely, I agree with you. More to come. Simply Superman crosses the line at 13.9, goes into 3rd place. We've had a lot of people dive into the pit lane. B. Morgan, notably, one of them invalidated his one and dived into the pit lane. Nolan as well, who's just come back out onto the circuit. Langfell has gone 4th in the second racing point of 14.5. Quite a bit of a spread in the field at the moment, as you would expect, with only 6 people setting times as it stands. We've got more people on laps at the moment. We believe we've got Kelvin. He's invalidated a run in the Red Bull. David, he's a reserve driver in the Haas, has apparently set the fastest first sector of anyone, so keep an eye out for him on his lap. Jan as well, currently 2nd in the championship. He's coming up to set a lap time, so almost just crossed the line. Jan's gone 4th, meanwhile Sean's gone 8th on a set of medium compound tyres in the Red Bull. Jan goes 4th on a 14.2, goes directly in between the gap between Simply Superman and Langfell. And Jan, really Jan's Achilles heel this season has been his qualifying, hasn't it? He's been really, really good in the races, but qualifying is never usually at the front.
No, and yeah, we had 3 weeks to overthink everything that happened. I think he just likes to overtake people because his race pace is just really, really good. And I don't understand why Ori's just unlucky and isn't able to put a good lap together, as some good sectors in different laps. But yeah, I think he just likes to overtake and doesn't want that pole position.
Maybe, yeah, trying to make it a bit more spicy for himself. I wonder if that's what he's trying to do. But at the moment, it's cost him a possibility of maybe winning this championship, having led for quite a long way in this standings. He's now dropped back down into 2nd, which is where he was, I think, the last time he was 2nd in the standings, I think, was round 3 of the season. So Jan has dropped back down into that 2nd place spot. He's gone from being the hunted to now the hunter. Nolan's just started another lap in the Alfa Romeo, so we'll ride around with him, see what he can do on his lap. Obviously invalidated his first run, didn't come across the line to complete the lap time anyway, so he hasn't got a delta that he can try and match. This is all done on just pure feeling at the moment. See what kind of lap time he can do. We've still only got 10 people that have set a lap time in the session out of 19. A lot of people, a lot of big names still yet to set times. Old school especially down at the back. So is Steph, so is B. Morgan, our championship leader, hasn't set a time. Tekken hasn't set a time. Neo's Hirojokin, all Lighty. So a lot of people that could be right at the front of the field still yet to set a competitive time in this session. Nolan coming through the middle part of the lap now. There's a bit of traffic in front of him, all slowing down to start their final runs. I think that might have been B. Morgan that's actually spun, I think, on a lap. Or no, sorry, that was Harry Nawag that's actually spun on a lap. B. Morgan's just started another run. And as I say that, I just jump off board Nolan, and I think Nolan's invalidated at exactly the same spot again.
Yeah, he did. He messed up his entry on the first corner of the sweeping ones. And yeah, if you don't go incorrect with first one, you just invalidate somewhere, go to right.
Yeah, done the same mistake again. He's gone for another lap this time around though, so maybe he had a bit more fuel in the car, so going for a second run on the same set of tyres just to get a banker lap in. B Morgan then will ride with him. He'll be one of the next people to finish a lap time along with Lighty, but he's invalidated his time as well. B Morgan's kept it on the road, coming through the middle part of the lap, so coming to the end of the lap now, it should be relatively easy to keep the car on the road. As I say that, a big lock up there from B Morgan, just about stays on the road on the outside of that corner, through the hairpin and then into these final few corners, a little bit squirmy on the exit of the corner. That's one thing to note around this track as well. Tyre temperatures can skyrocket as this lap goes on. B Morgan across the line goes P3 on a 13.9, just ahead of Simply Superman, but still 0.3 of a second behind Isotopic. Isotopic at the moment looking fairly comfortable at the front.
He does, and I took a glance at some time trial times earlier this evening, and I believe he had a 12.9 or something on time trial. So
wow.
Yeah, I won't be. Probably he's one of the contenders for P1 now. I mean, obviously because he has the first time, but his time trial was really good.
Yeah, we've got to look out for that. Can he get even close to that? He's 7/10 off his personal best in time trial then at the moment, so if he can get anywhere near that, he'll have a comfortable margin in qualifying. And Isotopic been one of those ones, especially this season and last season as well, you've got to say, where it was a bit odd for Isotopic, where sometimes he would be right at the front of the field in some rounds, and then he'd be bottom end of the top 10 at other rounds of the season. This time around, though, when he has been maybe a little bit slower than he has been at other circuits, he's made the best of bad situations, especially, obviously, I think Silverstone's the most noticeable one, where he spent the entirety of the race at the back of the field and still came home with a podium. So Isotopic, while he may have struggled with it last season, this season he's been able to kind of bounce back from those difficult days very well.
Yeah, he does. And one thing, well, he didn't do it last race because he lost out on penalties, but he's fairly clean as well. It doesn't pick up too many penalties in the race, and that's really important as well in the end. I mean, with these guys, a 3 or 6 second penalty can cost you 5 places.
It can do, yeah, exactly. Especially with the safety cars in this game, a late safety car can really hinder your race. Steph was on a lap, but invalidated coming into the final part of the lap. It was going to be around a similar pace to B Morgan's lap time. I think they set almost identical sector times by the end of the second split, so I think Steph will be a little bit disappointed that he invalidated that run. We've still got a lot of people that haven't set times yet. I think Lighty is someone that has set a time now in that Ferrari up to 11th place, having invalidated an earlier run. He's just cutting across the track, I think, to try and keep out of people's way. I think Flores is another one that's just set a lap time as well. Kelvin currently on a lap in the Red Bull, hasn't set a time as of yet. Old School still yet to set a lap time. Hero Jokin still yet to set one. Nolan and Charlie still yet to set a time, and Tekken still yet to set really a competitive time. That's on a set of mediums, but it is quite a way off the pace. The mediums in qualifying, especially around this track with how technical parts of this circuit are, the mediums around this track in qualifying are really going to hinder you.
Yeah, they are. They're not fast enough. But in the race as well, I mean, the speed difference isn't that great between the mediums and the softs, but they go off relatively fast as well. I mean, yeah, and that's what I'm looking out for today as well. What's going to be the strategies? Is it going to be a two-stopper? Is it going to be soft to hard?
Yeah, I think it all depends really on your tyre usage. Meanwhile, Isotopic has extended his advantage out front at 13.4 now, and Jan's gone into P2. Completely missed that, but Jan now up onto the front row of the grid, which is something I don't think we've seen this season from Jan, so he'll be hoping to hold on to that for the time being. Kiki hasn't been able to improve on his run. Simply Superman's on another run at the moment and is nearly 0.2 of a second up in the middle part of the lap, so this could jump him onto the front row if he nails his final sector. He's going to have to set a massive final sector to get anywhere near Isotopic's time at the front of the field. Around the final 2 corners then for Simply Superman, nice and neat, keeps it to the right hand side of the track for the shortest one to the line, and it's a 13.8, goes P3, wasn't quite able to get ahead of Jan, but gets ahead of Kiki and B Morgan. Good lap from him then, and at the moment the top 5 really separated from the rest of the field. David in 6th, half a second behind B Morgan at the moment. Harry Nawag has just set a lap time, just on a lap I believe at the moment in the Renault, currently 7th in the 7th in the field. Charlie, Nolan and Hero Jokin all on laps as well, and Hero Jokin's coming around the final corner to set his first valid time in qualifying, and he goes P6 then, right in that gap between, Steve goes into P7, Hero Jokin now goes into P6, so Hero Jokin just behind B Morgan. Charlie now goes P8 in the Ferrari. We just then wait for Nolan to finish his lap time. He's gone through the same part of the track where he's invalidated. This time round he's kept it on the road, so he'll be happy that he's done that this time round. Coming through the final sector of the lap, let's see what time he can do. Someone else has just improved their time, I believe, as well. I think that might have been Sean that's gone up into 11th place in the Red Bull. Nolan comes around the final corner. Where can he put that Alfa Romeo? Goes P7 on a 14.0, just ahead of Steven, just behind Hero Jokin. So finally, they've got their laps on the board. We now just wait for Stefan Old School.
Yeah, Steph just started his lap, I believe, in the first second 90 degrees corner. So yeah, let's see how he does. And Old School, surprisingly, I think he really wants to start on those mediums, because he starts a new lap on the mediums as well.
I think this is the second time now that Old School's gone out onto the track on the same set of tyres. So he's, yeah, like you say, desperate maybe to start on the mediums. Go for the one stop maybe for a medium to hard strategy. Obviously, the two stop will work for you if you can overtake. You can overtake around this track, but if you get stuck in traffic, it's really going to hinder your performance. So Old School definitely trying to go for that one stop strategy. Steph then in the middle part of the lap, look for a mid 454 at this picked time to be at the front of the field. It's 54.8, so this could put him around Kiki and B Morgan if he keeps his pace up. He keeps it on the road this time round into the stadium section through the final part of the lap. Misses the apex ever so slightly, but that's not going to cost you too much in such a low speed corner. Now into the final two corners of the lap, and Steph has kept it on the road this time round. Where can he put that Haas car? He goes across the line, goes P2. Whoa. Wow, a great final sector from Steph. That was a stellar final sector. Goes onto the front row, just under a 10th behind Isotopic. So Steph finally sets a time in qualifying, and it puts him on the front row.
Yeah, and he still has time to do a second lap. So, yeah, seems like he's the only one who can fight with Isotopic for a pole position today.
Does seem like that at the moment. No one else has been able to improve. Nolan's just retired from the session in the pit lane, so I think he might have actually completely run out of tyres at this point in the session. Old School, starting on the mediums is not going to work for him. Look at that, sets a time 15.5, 18th on the grid. That is clearly not going to work. No, definitely not. So if I were him, I would put on the soft really quick, and yeah, he only has time for one run. So experiment failed, I must say. Definitely, yeah. I think the good thing, at least if Old School does qualify inside the top 10 on a set of softs, is that we know Old School's fast in qualifying, so he can get to the front of the field. And everyone around him is going to be on the same kind of strategy, so it's not exactly like he's struggling at the back while everyone inside the top 10 is on a set of mediums. He's not at a disadvantage at this point. So we'll wait and see if he can get into the pit lane in time and put a set of soft tyres on. He's left it right to the last minute, but I'm sure he'll be able to get in time. Got more people out on the track now. Kelvin, I believe, has just started his final run in the Red Bull. Currently 16th on the grid on a 15 flat. He's a little bit away off the pack in front. He's only a 10th behind Flores, but then it's half a second to Langfell. Currently 14th on the grid, so he's going to have to find quite a bit of time in that Red Bull to get himself further up the field. Sean as well, someone who's back for the first time in quite a few races now, is Sean. Missed a few races after having such a good start to the season. Was running up, I believe, in 4th place in the championship at one point earlier on this season. Just a shame that he's been missing these races in the middle part of the season. He could have been challenging maybe for the championship if it hadn't have been that way. Kelvin then to the end of the lap, and he's not found any time as it stands in the middle part of the lap. Let's see what his last sector's like. Just keeps it on the road, coming through that right-handed corner, and now through the final part of the lap. But this doesn't look like it's really going to get Kelvin anywhere on this grid. Currently 16th on the grid in the Red Bull, looking to get a little bit further up. Keeps it all the way to the right-hand side, crosses the line, goes 15th, finds a lot of time in the final sector, found nearly 4/10 in the final sector on his personal best, puts him only 15th on the grid though, and maybe a few mistakes in the early part of the lap cost him the opportunity to maybe get into the top 10.
Yeah, he does. He's clearly not on pace today, but yeah, nothing's lost. I mean, he can try something else, as he's not going to start in the top 10 because he doesn't have time to put in another lap, but yeah, it's not going to be his quali for today, but there's still the race to come.
Definitely, yeah. Or maybe qualifying outside the top 10 could be a blessing in disguise, like you say, with that alternate strategy that could work for you. Starting 11th could be absolutely brilliant. Lighty is now on a lap in the Ferrari, but that car is all over the place in the middle part of the lap, and he's invalidated as well coming through the corner. It was a 10th up, but it's a 55.7 at the end of the second sector, which is about a second off what the fastest time is at that point in the lap. So Lighty really not at home at this circuit, not looking comfortable around Mexico. Lighty's second season in Division 3 has been much stronger than his first season. Won the race on track at China, lost out because of penalties, dropped to third, but it's been a much better season for Lighty than it has been last season. But this track maybe just not suiting his driving style.
Yeah, I think not, but he took enough fuel drive to do another lap, so maybe this is the one he was hoping for, as everybody is now out of track, I believe, so it's going to be fighting for their quali place.
Yeah, everyone's going to be starting a lap right towards the end of the session. Tekken's the next person to start a lap. Langfell has just started a lap, and so has Jan. So we'll ride with Tekken. He'll be one of the first people to complete. Currently last on the grid, has only set a time on a set of mediums, so that's not really a representative time of what he can do. A 27.9 at the end of the first sector was about 2/10 up on what Lighty managed through that same sector split. So it's a good first sector so far from Tekken, who's had a bit of a frustrating season. I think he would say he was looking for a bit more than maybe he has had so far, running outside of the top 10 in points in that Alpha Tauri. Coming through the middle part of the lap now, then keeping it nice and neat through the S section, up into 7th gear, nicely hits the apex there in both parts of the corner. Little bit of a wobble towards the exit of the corner, maybe affects his run, coming out to 55.5 at the end of the second sector. This could put him maybe around David or so in 12th place on the grid if he nails this final sector through the final part of the lap. Lighty meanwhile crosses the line and has not improved, so I think Lighty is officially going to be starting 17th at best in this qualifying. Tekken comes around the final corner and goes P11 with a 14.3. That is exactly where he wants to be on the grid, 11th place, as Kiki is retired from the session, so he's not going to be setting a time. He's actually crashed on his lap, so he won't be improving. Langfell in the Racing Point crosses the line, goes P12, just behind Tekken by 0.02 of a second. Jan, I think, is diving into the pit lane. No, Jan spun out of the last corner. Jan wasn't up on his time, but he spun the car, and B. Morgan's just gone P3 in all of that as well, just ahead of his closest rival in the championship. Isotopic, though, round the last corner, a 13.1. What a lap time from Isotopic. Extended advantage at the front of the field. Can Steph get anywhere near that coming out of the last corner? He does!
Whoa.
Brilliant lap time from Steph. We thought Isotopic had it. He looked the class of the field, and Steph has stolen it in the final runs in qualifying. A 13.1 from Steph as well. Takes pole position off of Isotopic by less than 1/10 of a second. We've got more people coming around the line now. Old School only 15th on the grid. David goes 9th in the Haas. Old School's going to be disappointed with that lap time. That's probably one of his worst qualifyings of the season to date. Charlie's on a lap, but he's invalidated, and I think that is it for qualifying. He's the only other person on a lap. Lighty, I think, is on a lap as well, but he's definitely not improving on his time. My word, it has been an eventful qualifying. Isotopic looked to have it in the bag, and Steph has stolen it.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, everyone, welcome back to TTML Division 3. This is how we do it all season long. It's incredible. I really thought Isotopic had it, and yeah, Steph just in the end he snitched it away from him.
This has just been so accustomed really to Steph, hasn't it, so far? He's been probably the master of qualifying this season, has absolutely nailed it. One lap pace, I think Steph has got to be the fastest person in the field. Can he convert it in the race, though? That's the thing for him. He's going to be hoping for a race win, and maybe for the other people around him in the championship, for it to fall apart for them. If B. Morgan retires from this race, or if Vianna Isotopic retires from this race, and Steph wins this one, Steph could be almost level on points with them. But just look at that, a marker laid down as well by Isotopic, obviously in that championship. Half a second clear of B. Morgan. That is a stellar lap time from both Steph and Isotopic. B. Morgan third, Jan fourth. So Jan up there in qualifying as well. So is Simply Superman. Top 5 in the standings, top 5 on the grid. Kiki then 6th place ahead of Hero Jokin, Nolan, David and Steve rounds off the top 10. Charlie, the first person outside the top 10 ahead of Tekken, Langfell, Harinawag, Old School only 15th, Sean, Kelvin, Flores and Lighty is the last person on the grid at the back of the field. Really struggled to set a valid time throughout that qualifying session. But like I said, top 5, maybe not in the right order, but top 5 in the championship or top 5 in qualifying.
Yeah, incredible. And some real surprises on the lower side of the table as well. I mean, Liangfell did good on quali. Old School, really low. Lighty. So yeah, still top 5 is out there, but still surprisingly standings out of quali.
Yeah, it's really. I'm absolutely shocked that Steph stole that. I really was thinking that Isotopic had that one in the bag. But like we said earlier on, Isotopic has his up and down tracks. This definitely seems like a strong track for Isotopic. And Isotopic really excels at these kind of circuits, doesn't he? Where there's a lot of corners in quick succession, really technical circuits. He excelled, obviously, last time out in Japan as well, where he won on track. And this is another track that seems to suit him, so that bodes well for him for this race. That the fact that he's half a second clear of Boy Morgan in qualifying, Isotopic and Steph could disappear off the front of the field.
Yeah, they could. And the one important thing for Ice Topic now is to keep his head cool and keep his composure. Because I remember, I don't know if it was last race or the race before, he was on pole. He drove away from everyone, and after the pit stop, he came in a bit of traffic and just was too eager. So he needs to keep his composure, and I think it's going to be him and Steph driving off in the distance.
Definitely, I think that was Singapore, was that race that happened to Isotopic, another technical circuit where Isotopic was the class of the field. And like you say, going for that different strategy, didn't he go for a two-stop, I think, in that race? And he just ended up crashing into the back of someone coming out the pit lane. So just really a disaster for Isotopic that race was. What a shame it was. He had such a great opportunity to dominate that race, and it just didn't go that way for him. Without that, I think Isotopic could have been quite easily clear at the front of the standings. There's been a lot of situations this season, you've got to say, though, for Isotopic and B Morgan and Jan, where they could have all been well out in front in the championship. The good thing is, all three of these drivers have fairly different driving styles, fairly different pace, but they've all had fairly equal seasons.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, B Morgan, out of everyone, I think B Morgan is in race pace the quickest, but just had a couple too many mistakes, or he would have been out far in front. I think Isotopic quali is just on point this season. I mean, some great qualities from him. Race pace really quick as well. He's a bit more aggressive in driving. And Steph, yeah, don't know about Steph, but I think his quality as well really good. But a couple mistakes where he spun the car, or he would have been up there as well with the top three, and it would be top four in a couple of points away from each other.
Yeah, just a note then, as everyone starts to line up on the grid, look at the tyre strategies for everyone outside the top 10. No one on the softs. Everyone on the mediums outside the top 10, apart from Tekken and Kelvin, 12th and 17th on the grid. They've gone for the hard, so they're very clearly going for that one-stop strategy, maybe going on to a set of mediums around lap 20 in this race. So this is going to be a fairly interesting one. Strategy, penalty-wise, overtaking-wise, Division 3 has really enthralled us all season long, and I'm sure this is going to be another great race. We are back in Division 3 for the penultimate round of the season, the first Division 3 race of 2021, and who is going to get the best start off the grid? It's the longest run down into turn 1 this season. Who is going to get the best start off the grid? Qualifying on the front row may not have been the best thing to do. Steph, though, on pole position. Really long hold, but the lights are out and away they go, and it looks a fairly even start at the front of the field. Actually, Isotopic, second phase of the start wasn't that good, and Steph clear out in front as they go down towards turn 1. B Morgan slots in behind Isotopic. They're fanning out in the background, though, 3 or 4 wide as Isotopic looks down the inside of Steph into turn 1. He's late on the brakes, but Steph is going to hold the car around the outside, but Isotopic around the outside of 2, inside of turn 3. He might have this one, but he can't get a good enough exit off the corner. Steph gets a really good run coming out of 3 and down towards 4. Isotopic using a lot of his ERS to try and get the moved on the Haas driver, maybe around the outside of turn 4, but just doesn't have the momentum to pull it off, so has to stay in second place. B Morgan now trying to attack around the outside, but just doesn't have enough momentum. Jan sitting back in 4th place as well at the moment. Simply Superman having a look down the inside, but isn't close enough to make the move stick. Nolan's had a poor start. He's dropped down to 13th from 8th on the grid. Old School's dropped to last place. He's had a poor start from 15th on the grid as well, but apart from that, it's been a fairly clean start at the front of the field, and Steph just about held on to the race lead.
Yeah, he did, and his gap is 7 tenths already. And
Simply Superman. Sorry to jump in there. Simply Superman all the way around the outside of Jan. That's a brilliant move from the Alfa Romeo driver, but Jan's coming back at him down the outside of the hairpin. They're really starting to lose touch with the top 3, though. Simply Superman gets the move done. Jan drops into 5th, and now Kiki and Hero Joking are trying to work their way through as well. Jan, after a good qualifying, doesn't look comfortable at the moment at the start of this race, and Kiki looks like he could get this move done.
He does, and I've got a timing glitch, so I've absolutely no idea where everybody is.
There we go then, Jan.
Top three,
yeah.
He's gone now.
Yeah, Jan then defends the line into turn 1, holds on to 5th place for the time being, but Simply Superman already starting to pull away from Jan in that Mercedes. At the front of the field though, Steph still leads ahead of Isotopic and B Morgan. That's your top 3 as it was in qualifying. They stay that way in the race. Behind them it is Simply Superman in 4th place. Jan drops to 5th. Then it is Kiki in the Williams, Hero joking. Steve has had a good start up into 8th place, David in 9th, and Langfeld up into 10th on the set of medium compound tyres. He's the lead person on the alternate strategy, so look out for him in this race. He could play a crucial part. A bit of a gap back to Harry Noir, who's in 11th, and then Tekken on the hard compound tyres with a train of cars behind him on the road. One of them was Lighty, who had a massive slide in the middle part of the Estes, and I think he's just about got away with it without being overtaken by Sean behind. Sean wasn't close enough. Charlie, the first person with a time penalty, and Old School trying to work his way back through the field. He's past Kelvin, and now he's past Flores. Back up into 17th is the Williams man on a bit of a recovery drive after a poor qualifying and a poor start. On to lap 3 of this race. First lap where DRS is enabled, and crucially for Steph, he's nearly broken DRS range.
Yeah, and that's really what you want to do, because the first start-finish straight on lap 3, you don't have DRS yet. It's going to be in the second phase, so you really want to be away from there. But what a start again, and must say, clean start for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. There's more battling going on towards the back of the field, though. Old School's trying to get moves done there. People side by side there. We're going 3 wide into the happen as Flores gets ahead of Sean up into 14th place. There's been a bit of carnage here as Sean's broken his front wing somewhere. Old School trying to work his way through as well. Lighty's been caught up in all of this. He's dropped back. So was Charlie in the second Ferrari. So there's been maybe a little bit of carnage in the last part of the lap. Old School now trying to work his way around the outside of Sean, who has that front wing damage. Can't really fight it. And Old School's going to get down the inside for turn 5. Gets back up into 15th place. Flores up to 14th. Tekken in 13th place at the moment, and Nolan runs now in 12th, but with a damaged front wing. I believe he does have a damaged front wing, so Nolan is going to be struggling on those soft compound tyres. Hauenawag in 11th, and I tell you what, so far Langfeld on the medium tyres is doing a stellar job. He's used a lot of his ERS up, but he is not being dropped by the soft runners in front.
Yeah, and he has a little gap to hurry as well, so yeah, great job from him. But also Tekken in 13th place isn't bad on the hard tyres, because the difference between the hard and the medium tyres is massively.
It really is, and you can see there Tekken sliding the car about at the moment. It's going to be probably around lap 8 or 9 where you'll start to see the hard tyres come into their own. So Tekken at this point in time just trying to hold on as it stands in behind. Sean is into the pit lane, and Steph, crucially, with a time penalty. Our race leader gets the time penalty, so look out for that. And Isotopic all of a sudden is right on the back of him. Isotopic's closed into the back of Steph's car. They've broken DRS to B Morgan behind, so B Morgan be getting a little bit detached from the top 2. Isotopic all of a sudden seems more comfortable in the softs. Maybe Steph has hit the cliff on those tyres.
Yeah, maybe it's really easy to overheat the tyres on this track, especially in the last part of the track. So yeah, maybe his setup is a bit too aggressive for the race.
Maybe it was great for qualifying, but race trim so far maybe not be working. Isotopic can't quite stick with him through the S section. Simply Superman now with a time penalty. That is another crucial one to look out for. Currently running in 4th place. Since passing Jan, he's not been able to drop him, so Jan's just sticking in his DRS for the time being. As it stands, I think Jan's going to do the similar strategy that he's done all season. Let everyone else pick up the penalties, and he'll pick up the pieces at the end of the race. Steph then round the final corner. He's built a little bit of a gap back to Isotopic in the final part of the lap, so he's not going to be under pressure from an overtake down the pit straight. Steph leads, Isotopic second, B Morgan third. We've got our first pit stop though from the people at the front of the field. It's Kiki into the pit lane at the end of lap 4 for a set of new tyres. You would imagine that's maybe for a set of mediums to do a 2-stop strategy.
Yeah, I think so, but lap 4 is really...
It was hard.
Early, ooh.
And a front wing change.
Yeah, that's probably why then. Front wing change, and the hards as well. I hope he can finish the race on those hards, because it's gonna be tough.
Definitely, yeah, obviously going for the one stop. The hards do last a long time, but even so, 32 laps, sorry, on a set of hard tyres. That is a tall order for him to pull off. He's probably maybe hoping for some sort of safety car towards the end of the race to bring him back into contention, but that somewhat takes him out of it. Meanwhile, in all of that, Jan's
past Simply Superman.
Yeah, Jan's past Simply Superman. I don't know if Simply Superman's made a mistake somewhere, because he's dropped a bit of time to the guys in front, but Jan now up into 4th place again and is already starting to build a gap back to Simply Superman. So I wonder whether the same fate that maybe befell Steph with the tyres is starting to befall Simply Superman, because Jan has just started to drive away up front again as well, as Nolan now picks up a time penalty. Look at that. Nearly half the field already with a time penalty in this race. So easy to do around this track. Could play a crucial part in this race. The top three continue to pull away. Isotopic still within DRS range of Steph. B Morgan just doesn't seem to have the same pace at the moment. Has no ERS in that Renault. Doesn't have DRS. And just is struggling to keep with the top two.
Yeah, I think it's a done deal for him. He just isn't at the same pace as Steph and Isotopic. He blew all of his ERS just to keep it within a second. And I think this lap we're gonna see him fall out of that. Except when Isotopic and Steph are starting to battle, and Isotopic really on the tail of Steph at the moment, and almost pushing him through some corners there.
Yeah, I wonder what we'll see in terms of strategy for these guys. You would imagine lap 6, lap 7 as well, we'll start to see people come into the pit lane off of these soft compound tyres. Do they go for a set of hards? Do they go for a set of mediums? We've already seen from onboard Tekken's car that the hard compound tyres are not good. Tekken, having run up in about 12th place, is all the way down to 16th. Hasn't had a moment by the looks of things. Hasn't got any damage. Just has dropped through the field on those hard tyres. Just doesn't have any pace. So the hard tyres not producing a lot of grip for these drivers that are currently on them. So I'm wondering whether people are going to be put off by using those tyres because of that. Meanwhile, as well, Hero Jokin's looking strong in the second out, in the leading Alpha Tauri, currently on the softs in 6th place, hounding the back of the Alfa Romeo of Simply Superman. No one into the pit lane, interestingly. So everyone stays out for the time being. No one reacting to Kiki's early pit stop. No one deciding to come in just yet. The soft runners stay out, but Isotopic going for a move here round the outside of turn 1. Gets the move done before he gets to the braking zone. So Isotopic up now into the lead of the race. Can he start to pull away?
Yeah, that's the big question, because we've seen earlier that people were just pounding away at each other and trying to overtake, but couldn't get out of DRS range then. And B Morgan is just out of it, and yeah, I think he's really gonna drop back. If Steph and Isotopic are using their heads and work together, they get B Morgan relatively quickly, I think.
Yeah, you would imagine with Isotopic in front now. Steph might be able to keep within DRS range, but Isotopic at this point in the race does look like the faster of the two drivers. So if Isotopic can pull away and drag Steph with him, that would take B Morgan out of contention. Hero Joking got the move done on Simply Superman, meanwhile, at turn 2. So he's now up into 5th place. Hero Joking, remember, won the first race of the season from last on the grid. Since then, hasn't had quite the same performances. He's been inside the top 10 for the majority of the season, has had a consistent run in the midfield, but just hasn't been at the front. This is probably one of his better showings in recent times, currently in 5th place, now hounding the back of Jan for 4th. He looks like he's held these soft tyres up a bit better than drivers around him, and B Morgan's into the pit lane then. From 3rd place comes into the pits for a set of medium tyres, so B Morgan committing to the 2-stop.
Yeah, and probably it's going to be soft medium because he pitted a bit too early, but who knows if he can keep his tyres in check, he can finish in the softs, and that's why you can win some positions.
You definitely can. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Steph, I think, trying to come back at Isotopic for the lead of the race. He is down the inside towards turn 4, and Steph's back in the lead. So interestingly, Steph goes back for the race lead, and these two now battling as B Morgan's come in. Great opportunity for B Morgan to try and undercut these guys as they start to battle. Crucially though for B Morgan, he is out in a heap of traffic right up behind Lighty. He's not going to get Lighty down this first straight. He's going to struggle to get past the Ferrari, I think, unless he's damn dear on the brakes, which he isn't confident enough to do so. So he's currently 15th, stuck behind Lighty, and then he's got Charlie and Flores in front. Old School, Harry Nowag and Langfell all just up the road, who are still yet to pit in this race. Nolan as well, but he'll be in fairly soon. B Morgan here could get massively held up behind Lighty.
Yeah, he already is held up here, and on his fresh tyres you just want to use them and it's in free air. I mean, their fastest new tyres and free air is just some kind of a guard roll you can get, and he really needs it. As both Steph and Isotopic just came in now.
Yeah, Steph and Isotopic into the pit lane. So
Isotopic for the softs.
Ooh, okay. So that's a little bit different then. So Isotopic doing soft, medium in this race by the looks of things. So you've got those tyres 8 laps with qualifying. You would imagine you'd be able to do another 10 laps on this set of tyres. So 17 laps on a set of mediums. They both come out still clear of B Morgan. So B Morgan wasn't able to use the freshness of those tyres to perform the undercut. He closes in on Isotopic, but being held up behind Lighty in the middle part of the lap really cost him the opportunity to get ahead of the Racing Point, who is on that set of soft tyres like you say. So this is a bit of a different strategy from Isotopic. To make this strategy work, he's got to get get past Steph as quickly as possible and start to build a gap, because when he's on the mediums at the end of the race, he'll have to go a little bit longer than those around him, so he'll want to try and build as big of a gap as possible.
Yeah, but in front of Steph you've got Charlie and Flores, and he has to pass them as well. But more importantly, B Morgan still on the back of these guys. So yeah, let's see how this ends up, and if Charlie is gonna help Steph and Ice Topic.
We'll have to wait and see. Steph on the DRS then coming down towards the stadium section, but not close enough to get the move done. Stays in P8 for the time being. At the front of the field, Hero Jokins into the pits. Jan is doing the similar thing to what he's done all season long, as extending. We're on to lap 10 of this race on a set of soft tyres. Jan continues on a set of soft tyres. He's the only person that has stayed out on those set of soft tyres as it stands. Nolan's also pitted. Here we go then in this battle for what will be 6th on the road. Steph up behind Charlie is going to get this move done fairly easily. Breeze has passed the Ferrari in a straight line. It's almost like real life watching that Ferrari get breezed past in a straight line. Topic's going to do the same thing into turn 1. Gets the move done on the softs. B Morgan can't follow them through just yet, but you would imagine B Morgan could get the move done down towards turn 4 as Steph picks up yet another penalty. So a second penalty of the race for Steph. Still no penalties for Isotopic and B Morgan. So at this point in the race, Steph is kind of taking himself out of contention by picking these penalties up.
Yeah, he is. I mean, Isotopic now in a net P1, B Morgan net P2, and Steph right behind those guys. But who knows? The race is still long, and just slip up your concentration, and you can pick up a penalty if you're Isotopic and B Morgan as well. So yeah, won't count them out yet, but not looking good for Steph at the moment.
Oh, look at Isotopic. What a run he had coming out of the S's. He's going to get a move done on Steph before Steph can get the move done on Flores, maybe down the inside. Isotopic's up into 6th place. He forces Steph a little bit wide, but gives him... And Isotopic up into that place, and he's already going for the move on Flores through the hairpin. Oh, get a little bit of contact. Steph had to take avoiding action, and that's worked beautifully for Isotopic, who's now up into 5th place. Jan's into the pits for a set of medium compound tyres, so he's extended a bit further, maybe running less time on the mediums. Isotopic now the net race leader. Steph a little bit held up behind Flores, and so was B Morgan. And B Morgan actually, I think, is trying to get the move done. No, B Morgan's... Has he been re-overtaken by Charlie? No, he's just got ahead of Flores. I thought he got re-overtaken by Charlie there, but he's now up ahead of Flores. Charlie and Flores now going side by side through the first part of the lap, and Charlie's just going to hold on to it. Flores has been battered around in these last few corners, gets away with 8th with no damage, but B Morgan then up into 6th, Steph up into 5th, but Isotopic crucially now in the net race lead. Yeah,
and look at the gap he already has, because Steph has had to take those evasive actions on Flores. It's 1.5 seconds, and he's on the soft tire, so yeah, did a great job overtaking these guys fast in spots I wouldn't dare to overtake someone. He did, and yeah, his risk pays off now.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I noticed there, so Jan's proved that you can take those soft tyres 10 laps into this race with qualifying on them as well, so that's about 12 laps worth of wear that Jan got on them. And Jan still wasn't undercut. Jan came out in a net P4, still ahead of Hero Jokin and Simply Superman. So as Steve is going for a move on Tekken, they're down the inside. Tekken trying to hold it around the outside, still on those hard compound tyres that he started on. He's just got no pace, and he's trying to hold it down the inside of the hairpin, but just doesn't have the grip. And that is Steve then up a place, then into 13th on the road. David is now going to try and follow him through in Matt Haskar. He's trying to get up into this battle, into the top 5. Harry Nawag's just overtaken Langfell, meanwhile, for the lead of the race. So Harry Nawag has closed in on that racing point and is now the lead person on the alternate strategy. Old School trying to close in on the pair of them as it stands. Langfell maybe going for a move back down towards turn 4, but isn't close enough and doesn't have the DRS. Can't get it done. Steve and Tekken are still going at it. Tekken's still trying to get that move done back on the Mercedes driver. Can't get it done and gets forced off the road on the outside. And here comes David to have a go at the pair of them. He sees these two battling really hard. David's got no ERS though. Steve doesn't have DRS, and David's going to breeze past down towards turn 4. And David, great capitalised there. Recognised that the two drivers in front of him were battling too hard, and he passed the pair of them in the process.
Yeah, something like two dogs fighting over a bone, huh? Great from David. Chakut. David, just David. Great racing from him. Saw the opportunity and took it.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Really, really smart driving there from David. He's up into upper place there now. He's up into a net P7 in this race, which is a good performance from him so far. He's doing a good job in that as it stands. Simply Superman, the next person up the road. Harry Noel's into the pit lane at the end of lap 12. Now, that's quite early off a set of medium compound tyres. So, obviously, he would imagine he's going on for another set of medium compound tyres in this race, and he is doing so. We'll see where Harry Noel comes out. You would imagine he's going to come out around this Tekken and Kelvin battle, probably just ahead of Kiki in that battle, actually, as he comes down the pit lane now. And does Harry Noel, I think, is going to be behind Kiki, actually, in a lot of free air, but a little bit further back. So Harry Noel out in 17th. Jan's got the move done on Lighty up into 8th place. And looking at this net battle for the lead, Isotopic's past Old School, so he's now up into 2nd place on the road. His teammate, the next car in front of him, Steph, is dropped back quite considerably. It's nearly 3 seconds now. It's over 3 seconds, actually, the gap between Isotopic and Steph. And Steph is continuing to pull away from B. Morgan, so the top 3 in the field starting to spread out.
Yeah, but Steph and B. Morgan still have those soft tires to go on for the last stint, so they will get the time back. But yeah, so far Isotopic looking really, really great, and I don't think Langfell will make it too hard for him. It's yellow flag and
Lighty. Yeah, Lighty spun the car at turn 7 by the looks of things, coming into the S section. It's got away with no damage, but I think maybe just cooking those tyres has spun the car, unfortunately. Really struggling around this track is Lighty's not look confident in that car whatsoever. Harry Noel is now going to try and get the move done round the outside down towards the next corner. Gets it done on the brakes. Runs a bit deep though, but gets away with it. Harry Noel up into 16th place. Lighty down to 17th, having yet not made a pit stop in this race. Isotopic going for the move on Langfell into turn 1. Langfell moves out of his way. Isotopic back into the lead of this race. Try and get my words out. Back into the lead of the race. Langfell down to 2nd. Old School runs 3rd, and Steph still not within DRS range. So at the moment, this is working out beautifully for Isotopic now in a bunch of clean air, starting to pull away.
Yeah, great. What he wanted, and already 1.1 seconds gap to Langfell, and yes, they're not even under pressure of Steph yet, so Isotopic just doing a great job, and yeah, doing his thing. And Steve is catching up to David now, as David a couple of laps ago passed him, and Tekken, who's really falling back on those hard tires. I mean, those hard tires, really no speed in them.
Yeah, really, really struggling. He's actually been overtaken by Kiki now, and Tekken's not made a pit stop. Kiki made a pit stop very early on for a front wing change, and Kiki's overtaken him, so he's really struggling in this race. Kelvin has overtaken Tekken now, as well as Hero. Jokin goes for the move on Flores down into the stadium section, gets it done. Simply Superman with a late dive at the hairpin, but can't get that car down the inside. Langfell's into the pit lane then, so that frees up Steph a little bit, who's on the back of Old School, going for a move down towards turn 1. Does he have enough ERS to get this move done? He doesn't want to push too much ERS, doesn't want to use up too much of it. Looks to the inside line. Old School's got a very fast car in a straight line. Holds 2nd place. So Old School holds that 2nd place for the time being. Steph can't get the move done as it stands. He's stuck behind that Williams car just a little bit. Oh, and gets a real wobble on coming out of turn 3. Gets on the ERS though, coming down towards 4. And I don't think Old School's going to have anything to answer for here. Down the inside goes Steph, although Old School's going to hold it round the outside. Hold the inside line for 5. Steph is going to have to try and get this done on the exit of the corner, and he does so. Steph is up into 2nd place. He had to work for it, but he gets there in the end. Steph up into 2nd. Old School down to 3rd. B. Morgan, the next person to have a run at Old School in that car. Further back down the field, meanwhile, Jan comfortably sitting in a net P4. 2 seconds clear of Hero. Jokin and Simply Superman now really being held up behind Flores. Has Steph another penalty?
Oh, he has 9 seconds now, I believe, so he's really making it hard for himself now, and really has to be careful he doesn't drop off the podium in the end.
As it stands, I think he will drop off the podium, and he'll lose the podium position to Jan. So we'll have the top 3 in the championship, in the top 3 places on the podium. That would be great to see. They're not in the right order for it to, or not in the correct order that we have in the championship as it stands. As it stands in this race, if it were to finish now, Isotopic would take the lead of the championship, and Jan's gone for a move on Charlie. No, Charlie is into the pit lane actually. End of lap 15, start of lap 16. Set of hard compound tyres for Charlie, so he is going for the one-stop strategy. Before that, he was running in a P5, so we'll see where he can get these hard tyres to, if he's got any pace on these hard tyres. If he can get some pace out of them, which seemingly no one else has been able to manage, Charlie could be on for a possible battle for P5 in this race if he can get it to work.
Yeah, if he gets it to work. I mean, we saw with Tekken, it can really cost you. Well, maybe he's better on, harder combats of tires, more understeer, or maybe he's better in an understeer car, so Yeah, let's see. And B Morgan is right on the back of Old School in the meantime, and probably in the gonna overtake him, try to overtake him in on the start-finish straight.
Yeah, you would imagine so that he's going to try and do that, but B Morgan doesn't have a lot of ERS in his back pocket here. Old School doesn't have much either, and Old School on 15 lap old medium tyres, so you would imagine it's going to be easy for B Morgan, but he's coming more and more detached from Steph in this race. Steph now having passed Old School is starting to close in ever so slightly on Isotopic, so I wonder whether Isotopic has now used the best of those soft tyres. I think for Isotopic's strategy to work, he's got to get to about lap 20 and then pit for a set of mediums. Into the pit lane comes Old School then from third place on the road, frees up B Morgan. B Morgan didn't have to make that overtake. Old School into the pit lane. Where does he come out and what tyres does he go on to? Set of softs for Old School. So maybe 2 soft stints towards the end of the race from Old School. Aggressive strategy. Got to do it though, having started a little bit further down the field. He's going to come out of the pit lane behind Harry Nawag, but in a bit of clean air ahead of Tekken. So Old School now has the opportunity to really use those tyres.
Lighty 5 seconds penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It's not going to help him in this race, which is terrible today.
Meanwhile, David has passed Simply Superman all of a sudden, so David and Steve have now all of a sudden caught Simply Superman and passed the Alfa Romeo driver. I don't know if Simply Superman's got some damage. It doesn't look like it's got no visible damage, at least on our end, but he was all over the back of Hero Jokin, and they were comfortably about a couple seconds clear of David and Steve, and now all of a sudden David's ahead of him. So David and Steve starting to play a part in this race as they work their way forwards. Hero Jokin only 2 seconds up the road from David now, so these guys could play a factor in this race as well.
Yeah, they could, and Steve still no penalties, so clean race for him again today. But yeah, they're really close, and yeah, I must say, David, I'm not sure if I've seen him drive in or if he changed his name in Division 3, but he's doing a great job.
Yeah, I believe he's raced a couple times before as a reserve in a McLaren, but I don't think those results really came to much. I think he a bit struggled at those circuits that he was racing at, but this is, I think, the first time in the Haas for him, and he's really showing good speed around Mexico. He's seemingly enjoying this track. Simply Superman trying to come back at him down the pit straight, but he just doesn't have any ERS, and that's another thing to look out for at this track. It's very difficult to save ERS here. At the front of the field, meanwhile, Isotopic still leads this race. The gap's not come down any more than it was a couple laps ago, so Steph still 3.2 seconds back. Isotopic holding steady at the front of the field. Steph with 9 seconds of penalties, so he's going to drop as it stands behind Jan, but still ahead of Hero Jokin. So Steph will drop to 4th place, which is where he is in the standings at the moment, as another 5-second penalty for Lighty as he's retired in the pit lane. I think Lighty's called it a day after a really difficult race for him. He's just really struggled around this track, not what we're used to seeing from Lighty.
Old School is really working his way now. He already passed Kelvin. He's battling hard with Owen, doing really great, and he has to get something.
I think we're just using your voice there a little bit, unfortunately, but Old School going for the move now down the inside of Harry Noir is going to get it done. Just dives it down the inside. Not really anything Harry Noir could do about that, and he's up into 11th place, and his Old School person directly in front of him on the track is his teammate Kiki, and they are level on points in the standings as it is coming into the penultimate round, but Kiki on a set of hard tyres, you can tell, really struggling for grip. Old School has absolutely no ERS at all to battle with here, but he's going to try and go for the move anyway. He's on 0% even before he's opened his DRS, but he's going to move to the outside line, and it looks like he's going to get that move done fairly easily. Then Old School up into 10th place. He's on the same strategy as Langfell in front of him. Langfell in 9th on a set of soft tyres as well, so he's going to try and close in on the Racing Point, who's trying to close in on Simply Superman, who's now been overtaken by Steve. So Simply Superman, after a decent qualifying, just not very traditional for Simply Superman. He's been the king of defence every time we've watched him. He's just falling through the pack at the moment. Yeah,
that's not what we used to see of him. As you said, he and Isotopic, especially at the start of the season, we've seen some great defensive driving from these guys. Clean, but really good and strong. And yeah, he's dropping back slightly now, but so maybe the medium tires not really suit his driving style around this track. I mean, it is a bit slippery, but yeah, hopefully he can bounce back in the later parts of this race.
Meanwhile, Isotopic into the pit lane. I had just noticed that the gap between Steph and Isotopic had dropped to 1.7 seconds. So I think Isotopic somewhere has made a mistake on that lap. Maybe run a little bit wide, lost the rear of the car on those aging tyres. Where does Isotopic come out though? That is crucial to his race. He doesn't want to come out in too much traffic, and he's going to be right in the thick of it. He's going to be just ahead of Old School, so he's able to stay ahead of the Williams man, but he is going to be behind his teammate Langfell. Langfell, you won't imagine, would put up a fight. Meanwhile, in the background, Harry Noirg is going for a move on Kiki down towards turn 1, who's still struggling on those hard compound tyres, and Harry Noirg gets the move done round the outside into turn 1. So Harry Noirg up into 11th place. Isotopic has got his teammate in front of him. That should be a fairly easy move, but from then on, it's going to be very difficult for Isotopic to work his way through this pack of cars.
Yeah, it is, but yeah, simply Superman not having the greatest races we've seen from him so far, and yeah, after that Steve is going to be really hard to get this last couple of guys, but I'm not sure if these guys they still have to come in, I believe, so I have to hope for that, because I don't think they're going to last for 17 laps on 10 lap old mediums.
No, I don't think they are at all. No, they're going to be coming in fairly soon, maybe in the next 3 or so laps. But the pace that Isotopic will have, you would imagine he's going to get close to these guys before these guys pit anyway. He's within DRS range of his teammate, but he's within DRS range of Superman, and Simply Superman's within DRS range of Steve. So it's a bit of a queue forming here. Isotopic's going to have to try and use the grip of those tyres to get ahead, which is not what he wants to do, considering he has to run at least 16 laps on these set of medium tyres, which is quite a fair way to go on this set of tyres. He should be okay towards the end, but he's going to struggle for pace, and Isotopic gets past his teammate easily. Langfell lets him through, so Isotopic up into 8th place, then gets that move done. Simply Superman is the next person for him to have a go at, and then Steve just in front as well. Meanwhile, David in 5th place on the road, continuing to close in on Hero, joking for that 4th place.
Yeah, he's doing really well. We've missed a couple of overtakes from him, so we didn't give him the spotlight he deserves today, but he's doing really good, and not really flashy driving, but just closing in steadily lap by lap and reeling them in like a pro fisher.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just steadily closing in, like you say, not pushing too hard, keeping it on the road. Isotopic, though, picks up a time penalty. So our net race leader gets a time penalty through the S section, and that is crucial for this race. Steph is into the pit lane. B. Morgan is also into the pits. Now, where do they come out relative to these guys around them? He's got, look at Isotopic right in the middle of this queue of cars, really starting to get held up as it stands. He's going to drop a bit of time, you would imagine, to Steph, and that around us. Into the pit lane comes Steve. He's into the pit, so that frees him up. Isotopic then just got to go for the move on Simply Superman down this pit straight. He's going to have to use his ERS to get this move done. Steph, meanwhile, comes out of the pit lane at the back of the queue, so he's got a lot of work to do. B. Morgan comes so far out down the back of the field. He's now been overtaken by his teammate, Harry Noirg. So Harry Noirg lifted off the throttle, I think, to let his teammate back through. No, he didn't. They're running side by side into turn 1. B. Morgan gets down the inside. Harry Noirg doesn't fight it, as you would imagine. But Steph at the back of the queue. Isotopic's worked his way to the front of the queue, but without losing a bit of time and getting a time penalty. B. Morgan now has got to try and get within 3 seconds of Isotopic.
Yeah, and he's got the same thing now. He's in traffic behind Steve, and yeah, I hope he can get it. I mean, he really deserves it. But Isotopic is looking really good for a win here. I mean, he has put through all the traffic in a net P1 now. He really needs to use everything those tires have to get his P1.
Meanwhile, Old School going for the move on Langfell, then up into 6th place is the Williams man on those fresh set of soft tyres. Oh my word, Steph there, I think ran straight into the back of Langfell in the braking zone for the hairpin, caught out by the battle in front. Did he get away with no damage? I think he did, but he really had to back out of it, did Steph, and into the pit lane comes Langfell. That's quite an early pit stop off of those soft tyres, clearly seeing that they're not working for him, so he's probably going to come in for a set of medium. Simply Superman is also into the pit lane. Stefan is going to be battling with Old School, so I wonder if he'll be able to get that move done on Old School quick enough to really make enough of a gap to the drivers behind. Jan is obviously his biggest worry in this race, who was just within penalty range of the Haas driver before the pit stops. Jan staying out, extending those tyres as he did in the first stint. He's going a little bit longer, maybe for a set of softs at the end, which could bring him back into contention for a podium.
Yeah, he does, and he's on these tyres for 11 laps. So yeah, if he can extend it to, let's say, lap 26, he's just gonna end this race on the softs, and I think he's gonna be up there then.
Definitely, yeah. If he can do that and not lose too much time, then that would be perfect for him. Yellow flag, that's Kiki that's spun in the Williams. Another mistake from Kiki. He's been littered with them this season, hasn't he? Just spinning left, right and centre, unfortunately. He should have been. He's another one of these drivers where his championship position doesn't necessarily reflect the speed he has. And he's made a lot of errors like that. And just on 70 lap-old hard tyres, I think desperately trying to get those to the end of the race and stay inside the top 10, just proving that the hard tyres really aren't the right tyres to be on.
No, no, they're not. And as you said, Kiki is a really fast driver, but just too many mistakes in the race, and it cost him. And B Morgan, oh no, David is just in for softs.
Yeah, so the soft tyres
he's going to be finishing on the softs as well. It's gonna be a tough one. That's 13 laps.
That is a long way to go, yeah, that is a really long way to go for David on those tyres. He comes out ahead of Steve still, just ahead of Steve, comes out in 11th place on the road. We've got people in front of him, you would imagine have got a pit, so Flores will probably pit. Charlie won't have to pit. But one thing to prove here that these hard tyres don't work, Charlie was running in a net P5 when when he pitted for the first time. Everyone's obviously coming for a second pit stop, apart from Jan and Hira joking, but they would probably come out ahead of Charlie anyway in this race. Charlie's all of a sudden down in a net P9, so Charlie's really lost out on this set of hard tyres. It's just not working at all.
No, they're not. And yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, I had this the week before Christmas in a different league. I had Mexico, and the hard tie is just really difficult to keep in check, and they're just that slow. I mean, they don't feel nice, they don't feel good. And they go off faster than I think they should be, so definitely not the tyre you want to be on.
Definitely not, though, as Steph now sets the fastest lap of the race, so that is one thing to look out for. 2.1 seconds is the gap between him and Isotopic on the road. Obviously, Steph has more penalties than Isotopic, so that will keep Isotopic in the net race lead. But Steph starting now to close back in ever so slightly on Isotopic. Remember, Isotopic hasn't got any experience on these medium tyres yet. Steph has had a stint on them, so he has a little bit of prior knowledge on these tyres compared to the Racing Point man. Isotopic now starting to close in on the back of Hero Jokin, trying to get him moved on road for second place in this race. B Morgan still running in P6 in this race on the same strategies as drivers in front, just a little bit detached in a net third place, which will become a net second place when Steph serves all of his penalties at the end of the race. B Morgan, while he's not had the pace of the top two, doing exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah, keeping penalty free, doing his thing and keeping within. And just as I say that, 3-second time penalty. I'm sorry, B Morgan.
Commentator's curse at its finest, but that takes quite a bit of pressure off of Isotopic, because if B Morgan could get in that 3-second zone, then Isotopic would have been under a lot of pressure to get those tyres to the end of the race. Now he doesn't have so much pressure. B Morgan would have to overtake him on the track for that to work, so Isotopic now can maybe ease off a little bit. He doesn't have to beat Steph on the road. Steph has got 6 seconds more penalties than him, so if Isotopic doesn't think that he can get to those medium tyres to the end of the race at this pace, he can just back off a little bit and save those tyres and not have to worry too much.
Yeah, that would be the sensible thing to do, but yeah, seeing Isotopic racing the last couple of races, he wants to give his best, give his all, and yeah, so I'm not sure if he's going to do that.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, we've had a spin in the middle sector. Sean has spun. Is that going to bring out a safety car? We've seen this a lot this season, where a late safety car has really sprung a surprise on these drivers. It's caused a lot of problems. I think we're going to get away with it, though. I don't think it looks like we're going to get a safety car in this race. It looks safe for the time being. So, as it stands, I think Isotopic may be having a sigh of relief there that there's no safety car. I think that's the last thing he wants in this race, is for a safety car to come out. But Steph, I tell you what, on these medium tyres, Steph is flying. The gap is now down to 1.3 seconds. You can continue to close in on Isotopic, who currently is the net race leader. Jan is yet to pit, and David on all of those pit stops, pitting a bit earlier for the set of softs, has put him ahead of Hero Jokin now into a net P5 in this race. Hero Jokin now with a time penalty as well, and isn't within DRS range. So David within a net P5 could jump Jan, and Jan is staying out for another lap. So he's continuing on. I don't know if this is possible, but do you think Jan might be extending to the end of the race?
Yeah, well, he can try, but I really don't think it's possible to keep these tires until the end of the race. I think in 5 laps they're just gonna blow up.
Yeah, that is a tall order for you to get this to the end of the race, and like you said, I don't think it's going to work. It's going to have to come into the pits. But the problem with staying out for another lap, he will get those soft tyres to the end if he pits now fairly easily, but he's at risk of being jumped by David, and the last thing he needs is to be behind another car when he's on a set of soft tyres. He needs that tyre life now to try and close in on Stefan B. Morgan in front. But I tell you what, the gap between Steph and David is massive at this point now. It was running at around 7 or so seconds was the gap between Steph and Jan before they pitted. Jan is now nearly a pit stop behind. So Jan, by staying out a little bit longer, it's really cost him.
Yeah, it did. And as you said, if he gets stuck in traffic, it's going to be devastating for his race, even though he still doesn't have a penalty, which is really... Oh, he's coming in now, I believe.
He's coming in now, but not before holding up Isotopic a little bit. So now is Steph going to try the move on the Racing Point? He is. He's got the DRS and he's got the ERS. Isotopic has DRS as well off the back of the Mercedes driver. Can Isotopic hold on to the net race lead? I think he's just about going to do so. Yeah, Isotopic fast enough in a straight line to hold on to it. Steph, though, looking feisty in that Haas car, looking fast, trying to get the move done as B. Morgan's left the session. My word, we saw this earlier on in the season. I can't remember what race it was where we saw this, but B. Morgan has left the session with a connection problem, and that all of a sudden blows this championship open again. If Jan can make the most of this, this could really work for him as well and for Isotopic. But Jan, after staying out, look where he's come out. He's been jumped by David and by Hero Jokin.
Yeah, and that's just 1 or 2 laps extra on the medium tires. That just shows how hard this track is on your tires.
It really does, yeah, and that is a disaster really for Jan in this race. And the problem now for B. Morgan is that he's now out of penalty range of Steph. So Steph is going to hold on to a second place finish here because of that problem for B. Morgan. Harry Newag is staying out on his set of medium tyres. He's just been overtaken by David, who all of a sudden, David's now in a net P4 in this race. I think he must be thinking that Christmas well, Christmas for 2021 has come early. It's come nearly 365 days early because, my word, that is a stellar second half of the race for David, who qualified this race, I think, in 9th or 10th, was one of the last people to start on the soft tyres, and he's just worked his way through methodically. A bit of a quiet race, but it's been absolutely brilliant from him so far. Hero Jokin's passed Harry Newag as well, and you would imagine Jan is going to get that move done. Harry Newag's actually into the pit lane anyway, so Jan doesn't have to worry about making that move stick. But so it's now a battle between David, Hero Jokin and Jan for 4th place on the road, and if Jan can get past both of these two, he could close in on B. Morgan and try and get that 3rd place.
Yeah, B. Morgan really needs to reconnect quickly, because David, Hero and Jan are closing in so fast on him. I mean, it was 10 seconds, it's already 7.3 now, so really needs to reconnect fast, or Jan's gonna have the last podium spot.
He really could.
He has a purple sector as well. It's really flying.
Really is flying, and still with no penalties. Him, Steve, his teammate, and Flores are the only drivers without a penalty in this race. As it stands, as Old School picks up another penalty. Old School, having pit, comes out in 8th place on a fresh set of soft tyres. Simply Superman, you would imagine, is going to be fairly easy meat for Old School, but then he's got 5 seconds to the drivers in front. His Hero Jokin picks up another penalty. That's his 2nd penalty of the race now, and he's going for the move on David down towards the stadium section, but backs out of it early, doesn't go for the move. It's going to wait for the pit straight. It's Simply Superman now picks up another penalty. My word, the amount of penalties we have in this race, that is absolutely crazy. I wouldn't want to look at the full race director at the end of this one because it would be a lot to go through, but Simply Superman with another penalty, and on the same lap as Old School and Hero Jokin, and now Kiki, another one to pick up a penalty on that lap. Kiki has finally pitted off of those hard tyres for the set of softs, but he's down in 16th place. Old School's got the move done on Simply Superman before we got to the DRS, and Jan's going for the move on Hero Jokin. Is it going to get David as well in the process? Great straight line speed from the Mercedes down the inside, used up the ERS reserves he had, breezes past the pair of them. Brilliant stuff from Jan, and he's back up into 4th.
Yeah, and the thing is, he still has DRS on the 2nd DRS straight as well, so he can extend that lead. So, yeah, it's Jan on these soft tires. It's just a joy to watch. He's doing so good.
Really, really great stuff. We thought he was out of it, and now all of a sudden it's working back in his favour. Brilliant stuff from Jan, then up into 4th place. Clears David and Hero Jokin. Hero Jokin cleared David in all of that as well, so David drops to 6th place on those old softs, already starting to maybe feel the pressure of those tyres. They're already 6 laps old at this point in the race. He'll be really struggling to get those to the end, and Old School is flying as well in 7th place. He'll close in on those guys relatively easily then. Jan is now within penalty range of B. Morgan, but you would imagine he's just going to pass B. Morgan's AR car probably down the straight. He's just just caught him so quickly. It's already down to 1.5 seconds. The gap, I think, between him and Steph is too big. It's 9 seconds is the amount of penalties Steph has. And Steph's actually going for the lead here. Down the inside towards turn 1. Steph gets the move down on Isotopic, but I think Isotopic recognises there's no point battling it. And Jan does a 16 flat for the fastest lap of the race. And Old School nicks it off of him with a 15.9. So Old School now with the fastest lap of the race up into 7th place in that Williams car. Steph now leads the race, but I think Isotopic recognised that he didn't need to fight that one.
Yeah, he just in the left corner of his screen, he sees the penalties and he's 9 seconds behind Steph's name. But yeah, I have to say I can respect him. Steph's probably thinking, you know what, it's gonna be P2, just gonna overtake him, hammer for those last couple of laps, and see if I can get to 6 seconds. And yeah, why not?
Yeah, may as well try and do it. Try and see if you can get that gap. Maybe even force Isotopic into a mistake, or force Isotopic to maybe go and push too hard and pick up a penalty himself. So yeah, nothing to lose really for Steph. He's safe in that second place, at least in this race. Jan now up into 3rd. Hero Joking up into 4th place on the road. David will be next to go past B Morgan's AI car, who I think's internet has probably just completely crashed by the looks of things, because he hasn't rejoined, unfortunately, which is such a shame for B Morgan, that his championship challenge could fall apart because of a connection error in the penultimate round of the race. Old School will be next person to pass him as well, so what a shame for B Morgan that his race is going to end like this, and possibly B Morgan's championship challenge could go with it.
Yeah, this is just the amount of, don't know what it is, but just these unlucky things for B Morgan can cost him the championship. It's a fast driver, it's a good driver, even today. I mean, clearly wasn't his track, he wasn't the fastest, but doing his thing, keeping Isotopic and Steph in check and finishing on the podium. And he's joined back, luckily. So let's see if he can make something out of it now. And as David and Hero Joking, their tires will be going off around the laps there are now, lap 7.
Yeah, it's just been overtaken.
We can do something.
Just been overtaken by Old School, but I think Old School has 9 seconds penalties. Actually, just double check that right now, see how many penalties he actually got. Yeah, Old School has 6 seconds, sorry, B Morgan has 3. So if B Morgan can keep with Old School and maybe try and close on Hero Joking and David, he can maybe regain some of those places back, and Simply Superman's not going to be a threat to him. He's got 9 seconds of penalties behind, so B Morgan, if he can get back in that car, he's back in control of it by the looks of things. If he can get close enough now to the back of Old School to capitalise on his penalty, he can at least take something from this race. We're on to lap 33, 4 laps to go in this race. I think the top two were obviously a bit heightened by the fact that B Morgan had that connection error, but the top 2 have disappeared at the front of the field, and it's been kind of like that this whole race. Steph and Isotopic, after a great qualifying, have been the class of the field today.
Yeah, they have been definitely fastest guys on track here today. And it's not the first time as well, so if they won't get promoted, they will have a big chance next season, I think. So yeah, just really great stuff from them, and even though they overtook each other a couple of times, they're not taking any risks of ruining their own race and of the competitor as well, so great stuff from them.
Yeah, really smart stuff. And we've seen this a lot this season, where it's been really close throughout the field, apart from 2 drivers who end up at the front, disappearing at the front. And whether that's Isotopic and B Morgan last time out, whether that was Steph and Nolan at Silverstone, whether that was, I believe, Isotopic and I can't actually remember who the other person was. It was the round previous to this one. But yeah, it's been we've seen so many instances like that this season, where it's been 2 drivers at the front of the field, and it's been everyone in themselves for 3rd place. But we've seen that a lot, where 2 drivers are at the front, and this time around it's Steph and Isotopic, and it's not the first time it's been Steph and Isotopic at the front of the field. They really thrive on these technical circuits, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, yeah, tracks like Italy and stuff, not really that thing, but tracks like this, where you've got just everything you want in a track, they're really shining and doing that thing. And the beautiful thing of it all is, Steph not so much today, but Isotopic only 1 penalty around this track. Great.
Yeah, great stuff from him. Jan still without a penalty in this race, but he's just not got the pace at the moment on these soft tyres. He's pulled away from Hero Jokin and David. He's comfortable in third, but he's not going to get that second place off of Steph. David is trying desperately to get ahead of Hero Jokin. Had a go into turn 4, but Hero Jokin parked the car in the middle of the road. I don't think David could make his mind up as to whether he wanted to go to the inside or the outside, so in the end just backed out of the move. Stays in 5th place, and both Hero Jokin and David have the same amount of penalties as the Old School behind them. So if David can get the move done on Hero Jokin, that is P4 on the road for him unless he picks up another penalty. And Hero Jokin actually has to say that's just picked up another penalty, so David doesn't even need to go for the move. He can just sit behind and get a P4 from this.
Yeah, but I think David wants that because B Morgan only has 3-second penalty and David 6, so he really wants to pass him to be safe for B Morgan to snatch away his best performance this season.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. B Morgan's just out of penalty range at this point in time. I think it's about 4.5, maybe 5 seconds between them. So B Morgan's not going to be able to capitalise. At this point, B Morgan might capitalise on Old School, but Old School's still got some good pace in those soft tyres. So he is pulling away from B Morgan, who could end up this race in 7th, which is just not a representation of where he should have been in this race. He would have comfortably finished this race in 3rd place without that connection problem. And that is why there is such a big gap now between Isotopic and Jan. 15 seconds between 2nd and 3rd place. Jan continues to run his own race in 3rd. Mr. Consistency has Jan been. He's been on the podium more times than anyone so far this season. Had a little bit of a rough patch the last couple of rounds, so it didn't quite go his way. But again, Jan at the front of the field, maybe not having the pace, but has the consistency and the race smarts.
Yeah, he does. This is one of the drivers who I think was a positive thing. There was a break, as B Morgan, who isn't really on pace today, was negatively affected by it. But Jan just doing his thing, and it was not only this season, but last season as well, when we had Mashiro and F1 AMG on the podium a lot. Jan was there on the 3rd spot a lot as well. So yeah, really doing some great stuff, and with a bit more luck. Yeah, and still he's not out of contention. I wouldn't say with a bit more luck he would have been up there, but he is up there and still can snatch the title away.
He can, yeah. Going into the final round of the season, then, as it stands, we've got half a lap to go. So actually, I won't say anything until they cross the line, because I don't know what I could do on this final lap. I could curse them, as Langfell now picks up another penalty. His strategy has not worked in that second racing point. Currently down in 11th place, stuck behind Charlie, who's the only one on those hard compound tyres has been able to hold on to a top 10 spot. We're into the final sector of the lap, though. Steph and Isotopic have been a class above the rest of the field today. They've disappeared at the front, but it's Steph that's going to win on road for the second race in succession. The person that crosses the line in 2nd place is going to take the win. Steph gets the win on track, but Isotopic gets the win here in Mexico from 2nd on the grid. He lost it in qualifying. He gets it in the race. Jan's going to get on the podium with no penalties, and a great overtake on David and Hero Jokin at the end of that race. Jan is going to cross the line in 3rd in that Mercedes. Hero Jokin will cross the line in 4th. David is going to cross the line in 5th, but will take 4th place off of the Alpha Tauri. Old School goes up into 5th from 15th on the grid. He was last at the end of the first lap. Old School up to 5th. What a recovery. B Morgan can't make any inroads on the drivers in front. Stays in 7th place. Steve gets 8th in the second Mercedes ahead of Simply Superman, who dropped in the midpoint of that race. Just really struggled with tyre grip. Nolan gets 10th in the end. A good recovery from him after damage at the start of this race. Charlie 11th ahead of Langfell. Harry Noir, Kelvin, Kiki, Vlores and Tekken will be the last 2 people to cross the line. Tekken just coming through the final part of the lap now. And going into the final round of the season, Isotopic is now our championship leader.
He is by great driving together with Steph. B Morgan won't be too happy today, I think.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think B Morgan has every right to be frustrated with that. That connection error could have just cost him a shot at the championship. Was leading coming into this round. His 2 championship rivals, 1st and 3rd, and they were only 2 and 3 points behind respectively. So he's going to have lost out massively. It's going to have to be a lot of luck and a stellar performance from B Morgan at the final round of the season for him to try and get this championship that looked set to be his at the start of the season. But there's been a number of races where B Morgan has lost a huge amount of points, whether it's been bad luck or mistakes by himself. Final round of the season, though, we head to Abu Dhabi, I believe, for the final round of the season. Oh wait, yeah, final round of the season at Abu Dhabi, I believe, if I remember correctly. And yeah, so Abu Dhabi final round, another technical circuit, so you would imagine that Isotopic's going to be strong there as well. Yeah,
Isotopic and Steph, so Jen, watch out for Steph. But yeah, Isotopic, I think on paper he's got the best chances of winning the championship. But yeah, we saw it today as well with B Morgan, his connection just blowing up in his face, and together with it, his championship contention. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, it is such a shame that that is how it is going to affect the championship for B Morgan. So there's your final finishing order then. Isotopic gets the win ahead of Steph and Jan on the podium. David with his best result of the season. Great drive from him in P4. Old School, great recovery for 15th on the grid up to P5 on an alternate strategy. Hero Joke in 6th. Had good pace at the start. Couldn't really make the most of it. B Morgan drops 7th with that connection problem. Steve in 8th plays ahead of Simply Superman, who struggled in that race in 9th. And Nolan recovering from early damage in 10th place. Charlie in 11th. Tried the one-stop strategy, just didn't have the pace on the harder compound tyres. It just didn't work for him. Lang fell into other head of Flores, Harry Nawag, Kelvin, Kiki, who spun and had damage at the start of the race. Tekken at the back, having started on the hards. That didn't work for him whatsoever. Sean, a late spin out of the race. He crashed out of the race, and Lighty crashed and retired in the pit lane early on after a difficult opening stint. So, a bit of a chaotic race. Another great race for Division 3, though.
Yeah, it was. And not only a terrific race, even, I mean, I'm not a big fan of it, but even qualifying in Division 3 is just exciting. You don't know what's going to happen until just the last stint of everybody.
Yeah, you don't know, but it is bizarre, isn't it, how close qualifying has been this season throughout the field. It's just been less than a tenth of a second separating these drivers. And bear in mind, coming into that round, that is Isotopic's second win of the season. We've had a lot of different winners this season. Just bear in mind that from the first round of the season, we've had Hero Jokin win a race, B Morgan win 2 in a row. Then it was Isotopic that won the fourth round of the season. Then Martin Bell won in France, Jan won in Britain, Steph won in Belgium, Singapore was won by Old School, and B Morgan won again last week, and now Isotopic's won for a second time. So, unlike last season, we've had a whole plethora of different drivers winning races.
Yeah, we do. Just one guy missing on winning a race, I think. In my opinion, really deserves it. Is Steph. He's been up there a couple of times, but didn't win yet. But yeah, just great. I mean, so many different race winners in one season. It's crazy.
Yeah, and who knows, we could get a new race winner next time out. We'll have to wait and see. But that is where we're going to end off the stream today, guys. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in to League Racing TV for the 10th and the penultimate round of the Division 3 season. Thank you to Conti for joining me in the commentary box. Tune in to League Racing TV, obviously, tomorrow for Divisions 4 and 5. Cheer on Conti for us. Obviously, we hope you have a great race and pick up another win this season. That'd be great to see. Obviously, you enjoy this track, so I'm expecting nothing less than a win.
I'm going to do my best.
And obviously, IndyCar continues in CRC on Sunday, so look out for that one as well. If you can, try and look out for that. Try and look out for drivers' streams. And if you're interested in commentating for that league, give us a shout. Also, just a note as well that League Racing TV, TTML, now have a new Instagram page. So go and search TTML_F1 on Instagram for, if you don't have Twitter, if you want to find out the latest stuff with TTML, whether that's race highlights or race results or new stuff to come into TTML, go to our Instagram page. So have a look at that. That is something that's new and a little something for you guys that maybe don't have Twitter. So look out for that one as well. But that is where we're going to end off. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning into the stream. And we will see you this time next week for the finale. From myself and Conti, it is goodbye.